like Carrie said, we're getting ready to prepare for the CSIP e-grants. And so our agenda today is to align your action plan goals to SMART goals. That's all right. And then answer any questions that you might have, and then we'll show you what your next steps are. Today, we'd like to start and end on time. We do have 2 hours set aside for this. We may not need that whole time, but we do have 2 hours. So we'd like you to be present and on camera. We'd like you to be open to new ideas and to learning today. We'd love for you to ask questions so that we can help to support you. We may not know all of the answers, but we will find out and get back to you. And then we are happy for you to give us feedback and for you to share feedback with each other. And then by the end of today, you should have your SMART goals revised and completed for the 2021 school year. You'll have your next steps identified and your completed e-grant entry questions. We're going to start by reviewing your action plan. You should include 3 SMART goals. SMART goals, again, are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And these are based on the data from your CNA. And you will have a goal for math, for literacy, and an other goal. You'll need to explain what instruments or methods that you're going to use to monitor the progress of the goals, and how will you know that the goals have been met. You'll need to identify what strategies and steps you're going to use to support the achievement of these goals. Your strategies must be evidence-based. You'll describe a realistic and achievable timeline that you believe you can achieve your goals, and then identify who is responsible to ensure that these strategies are achieved. This is a review. You have already written these and you already have an action plan. We want to make sure that these are what you want your goals to be moving forward into this year, and that they are aligned with the data that you have reviewed from your CNA. All right, so SMART goals, again, they are specific. So the more detail that you can give about the goal, the better. They are measurable. So there's some way to gather data on the goal. They're achievable. So it's something that could actually happen. Again, realistic is the same. It's something that we can do. And they're timely. So we give an amount of time that the goal be achieved. And usually, you know, at this point, it'll be within this year. So examples of SMART goals, and I know you've seen these before. These are written in 3 different ways. It doesn't have to be in a specific order. You just have to have all the components. So these are just examples of a literacy goal, a mathematics goal, and an other goal. And you'll see that we have the time, getting as specific as possible for what students will be served and what subgroup. And then how will we know that they achieved it, and in what amount of time. So now you're going to get a chance to review your goals. We're going to give you some time in your teams to look over your SMART goals and to decide, are we moving in the same direction that we wanted to be moving in? Is this what we want to be doing? We'd like to hear some examples of your SMART goals. And if we could hear one example of each type. So if someone would like to share out a literacy SMART goal that you wrote.
High school. So in school year 1920 in ACT, the math number of students who were meeting college readiness benchmark was 11% for the school year 2021 in AC math. The number of students who will meet college readiness will increase by a minimum of 3%.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Would anyone like to share what you wrote for another goal? I know that there are a lot of other very important things going on in our students' lives and in our schools right now, and a lot of you would like to focus in that area this year. Would anyone like?
Yeah, I'm willing to share. From Victor Public Schools. I'm sorry, I didn't realize, and I apologize for joining late. I didn't realize that you were looking at the 1920 SMART goals. And ours were similar to the one that was just stated for math. For literacy, we had a 4% increase noted, and we also had a attendance goal to try to increase our attendance, which we know will directly impact our other SMART goals. And we had an increase of 10%. Now that being said, in our review process with the CNA in the spring, what we realized is that we didn't have, our attendance problem really wasn't our focus group that we thought. We have a high poverty, we're 100% free and reduced lunch. It really wasn't our students that are high poverty or high, at risk. It was more of our higher end students that were missing. Our low end kids get there because they get 2 square meals a day, to be fair. And so it really was an interesting aha for us. And we know that we're going to adjust our SMART goals for next year based on that data.
And that is exactly why we're here. So that's awesome to hear. All right. So we want to make sure that you understand that any activities that are funded with your Title I school improvement dollars must be reasonable and directly related to the implementation of your action plan. Now, Carrie will be the person who approves all the budget dollars that you get for this, with your Title I school improvement dollars. OPI is requiring that there's a thoughtful process on how the schools determine your action plans and your goals. And that's why we're walking through this today, to make sure that you're not just copying and pasting, but really making sure that the goals match the data. And like Diane brought up, when you realize that something else might be different than what you originally thought, then adjust. And that's exactly what we want to hear. We were hoping to prepare you and support you so that when the eGrant system is up for this, you'll be ready and successful. And so we just want to make sure that you understand that everything has to be tied to your action plan. So all activities must address the needs and root causes identified in your CNA, and it must advance the overall goal to increase academic achievement in your identified low performance subgroups.
So I have a question.
Yes.
This is for Title I school support, right?
Correct.
It's not for full Title I school-wide application.
Correct. And please, if you have questions, stop and ask. So the first question when you get into this eGrant system, this is one question and it has all of these components. And it's about describing the CNA process for your school. So you have to describe, how did the district include stakeholder engagement? What process did they use? What was your time frame? What was identified as a strength and weakness? And what are your next steps for improvement? So we have an example on the next slide that is in bullet points. It doesn't necessarily, so for this slide was mainly what we did in the second webinar when we went through the CNA data and you examined it. So here is a bullet point summary of what this example school identified. So I just put it as like the who, what, where, when, why, the weakness, and next steps, but you would have to write it out in more of a summary. For an example, the district reached out to all stakeholders through email contact and resources provided through the student tracking modules of Infinite Campus. A period of multiple weeks were given to complete the survey. Strengths identified include school climate, condition, positive environment, students involved in decision-making. Weaknesses were the development of their mission and vision statement, annual goals, and the use of the Montana early warning system. Their steps for improvement were involving local parents and teachers, developing annual goals, developing a vision, and using the Montana early warning system.
So what I wanted to say was then on the CNA, I think all of you probably could go back, or you already have your strengths and your areas of growth, and it's just a matter of compiling that information so that you're ready to drop it into eGrants.
Right. And what's on the slide that says explain the CNA process is the exact questions. These are the exact.
So a question
the one
on the
before.
CNA process, Carrie. I know that in the spring when we were applying for the literacy grants, we weren't required to do that. It was condensed. So what are your thoughts on that? Do we re-administer the CNA? What do we do regarding that piece? Because that leaves a big gap.
I think I heard you, and the operational components was the only piece that did not get completed. And we will open it back up so that you guys can actually do that. And I believe it's going to be open from August to September. And I will send out an email confirming that so that you will only have to take the operational components at that time. Thank you.
For anyone that didn't hear Carrie, what she was saying is that you will only have to take the operational components part